everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jody and I'm so glad you're here. If you're a returning guest to the channel, thanks so much for coming back. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button right below this video screen so that you can be notified whenever there's a new video posted, which is every Monday and Thursday. And also, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, again, right below the video screen so that I know you like this content and I can do more of it. So today's video is all about to highlight or not to highlight. For that is the question. And it's summertime, so let's talk more highlight. As we get towards fall, we'll talk a little bit more bronzing, contouring, because those are two very different things. So today, in terms of highlighting and concealing, we're going to talk about concealer first. Now, concealer is typically put on either before or after your foundation. I prefer to put concealer on before my foundation and go really light with it. And concealer is just what it sounds like. It is meant to conceal any imperfections that you have on your skin. So for me, for example, I just had a little white nodule thing removed. So I will conceal that little spot just before I put on my foundation. Another place that we often use concealer is right underneath our eyes if we tend to get a little bit dark or purpley. Now, as we age, we hold more wrinkles in that area, so it's really important that the type of concealer and the application of the concealer is taken into consideration for that delicate eye area, because the wrong concealer and or the wrong application can absolutely make that eye area look that much more pronounced, aged, wrinkled, and so on, and that's not what we want. So I have a few concealers here today to talk through. Now again, it's really a matter of preference if you want to put the concealer on before or after your foundation. I saw a video that Scott Barnes did. Scott Barnes is J-Lo's makeup artist, so if it's good enough for J-Lo, I'm gonna try it. And that was on a video that Toddy Westbrook did, and it was really a good in-depth video, so I'll link it down below or highlight it just so you can pull that up if you're interested in seeing it. But what he does is he puts the concealer and the contour underneath the foundation and then puts the foundation on and blend it. So first we'll talk concealer and then we'll talk highlighter. So some of the concealers that I have for you today are, the first one, you've heard me talk about this one before, is the Age Rewind by Maybelline. Now what I like about this one is the consistency of it, and again, I typically put it on my finger first, and you can see it really is just a nice, easy concealer. It's not real thick, so it goes in areas, cracks, creases, crevices pretty smoothly. I usually put my concealer on and then I let it sit, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. I let it sit for about 30 seconds or so. Again, a friend of mine, Hallie, gave me this tip, so thanks Hallie for that, just to let it get a little bit tacky, and then when you move it into place, it has a tendency to stay where you want it, and then you can put your foundation over it and ensure that it won't be moving as you're blotting your foundation around. The second one, the one from Maybelline, and I have the color Ivory. And this one retails for about $8, and you can find it at almost every drugstore as well as Ulta, Fred Meyer, Safeway, Rite Aid, you know, you name it, most places carry. Any place that carries Maybelline will most likely have that. And what I love about that one, that comes in a variety of shades. It comes in over 20 shades. The next one is Tarte. Now I have 3 concealers from Tarte, and I only use one, and I'll talk about that one in a second. The first one that Tarte has is the Tarte Shape Tape. This was sort of a cult favorite on YouTube and on Instagram. And it's a cult favorite because of its thickness, and it's got a, make sure I don't lie, this one is a 16-hour wear, and you can see the consistency of this one. It's definitely a little thicker, and it's great for younger skin. I found for aging skin, it was a little too thick for me. Now it retails for $29. This is the color Light Sand, and it is again a full coverage 16-hour wear, and it comes in 35 shades, which is fantastic. The next Tarte concealer that I do reach for a lot is the Creaseless Concealer. Now this one is this is 20 in, and it comes in 30 shades and retails for $26. And this one is, the reason I like this one is because it's definitely not as thick as the one that I just showed you, the Tarte Shape Tape. So it gets a little bit tacky as you let it set up. And then I will just put it on the back of my hand or right in place. of where I want it to go, really light. And then I'll just let it sit there for, like I said, about 30 seconds, let it get a little bit tacky, and then I will blot it in and we'll go from there. So we'll let that sit for just a second, and we'll talk about the third Tarte concealer, which is Ultra Creamy. This Ultra Creamy one retails for $29. It comes in 35 shades. It's full coverage, 24-hour wear, and this one is 20 in. Now this one is pretty thick as well, which is again why I wasn't a big fan of it. You can kind of see how thick that goes on my hand. It's a really nice concealer. I think it's probably better used for somebody with a little bit less crepey skin. And then when I do put my concealer on, just so I don't forget this and do the whole video like this, I just let it sit, like I said, about 30 seconds, and then I'll just press in with my fingers. Now the application of concealer is as varied as opinions can be. I like to do it with my finger only because I do have a sense of belief that the warmth from my finger and the warmth of that concealer just helps it melt into all of those little creases and crevices that we have under our eyes as we age. And then you can set that with the translucent powder. I go really, really light with the translucent powder, and by light I mean I just put a little bit on my finger and then dap it on my hand and then just press, just to set that concealer in place. But I don't go much heavier than that. I don't do any of that baking and any of that. I just feel like it really ages you as we get a little bit older. So the next concealer, we're gonna really bump it up in price here, and we're going full luxury. The next one that I have for you is going from a price point of $29 to now we're jumping up to $36. This is Dior's concealer. It comes in 28 shades and is $36, as I said. This also is a full coverage 24-hour wear, and I have it in color 1.5N. Now, I do reach for this, especially if I have a night out, but I do like this one a lot. It's creamy. It's a little bit thinner than some of the Tarte concealers that we talked about. This is the Forever Skin Concealer. If I was gonna splurge, this would be my splurge, this or the next one that I'm gonna show you. And you know, the difference between $29 and $36 for a difference between a Tarte and a Dior, it's really up to you. They're both good concealers and you can't go wrong with either one of them in my opinion, especially for aging skin. The next one, we're also going up a little bit more in price point. Oh, I'm sorry, this one's $34, the YSL. This one is an all hours concealer. This one comes in 16 shades and retails for $34, and I have it in 0.05 vanilla. The consistency of this one, and I really love the applicator on this one because it's got a nice little angle on it. So and it's tiny, so if you were in a hurry and you didn't want to do the dap on your hand and then on your face, it's small enough that you could really get in any tiny spot that you wanted to with this concealer without putting too much product on your face. So this is definitely one that I reach for, and it is a splurge. Again, it's $34 versus Dior being $36. And so it just doesn't, it's not, I mean, it's already expensive. It's concealer, and when you look at the price point difference, it's definitely a little difference in size, but I do like it. I like it because of the lack of thickness that it has. It is a full coverage, and I think it does last. I can't confirm that it lasts for 24 hours. You all know me by now. I don't stay out for 24 hours. But if I was going to have a really long night out, I would probably reach for that YSL concealer. Now let's talk a little bit on the really high-end side. And I don't know why I let the guy at the counter talk me into this, but it's a Clé de Peau. Comes in 12 shades, so it's one of the lowest shade payouts of any of them that I've showed you today. And so it's 12 shades and $73. Yeah, this is in ivory. And this is a little bit different of a consistency. This is more of a paste almost than a liquid. Now, the gentleman was very specific on how you have to put this on. He said, put it on your finger, let it warm for just a couple seconds, and then you really lightly tap it where you want it to go. Does it work? Yes, it does work. Do you need a $70 concealer? I'm not gonna make that judgment call for you. I'll let you make that judgment call for yourself, but it is a beautiful concealer. It's definitely a splurge. Does it perform that much better than an $8 or $9 concealer? It has better ingredients, I would say. I shouldn't say better. It has nice ingredients in it, and it is said to also moisturize while you have it on. So there you go. So to conceal or not to conceal, we should all conceal if you have areas or imperfections on your face that you don't like, or really discoloration. Think about concealer as discoloration so that you have a neutral canvas for which to put your foundation on, and then your blush and your bronzer. So that's really what concealer is. Use it sparingly, really, really sparingly. Again, you see in YouTube videos with some younger YouTubers where they just do these, you know, long areas where they go like this and then like that, and then they highlight everything in between, or they conceal everything in between it. That works great if you're in your 20s and 30s, and maybe you can get away with it in your 40s. I could not, and I think it looks a little bit crazy. So we're just gonna now spread that out because now it's on my face, and we're just gonna go with it and see how, I'll show you just how crazy it can look when you start to do your makeup like a much younger YouTuber and you're not in that bracket. All right, so the next thing we're gonna talk about is highlighting. So highlighting, especially in the summer, is a really fun thing to do. Again, where you highlight, how you highlight is up to you. I prefer to highlight after I've put on all my makeup, foundation, blush, and then I will use one of two brushes. I will either use this really light and airy and fluffy brush, or a brush very similar to this. This is actually a foundation brush. This is MAC 187, but I like how light and airy it is at the top. The other one I'll use is a fan brush. Now, any fan brush will do. The smaller the better, because you don't want your highlight to get too much on your face, or then it just looks really overdone. But I like a real small and thin highlighter brush, because, and I use, the difference between the two is if I want just a really nice slight little bit of concealer, probably need to blend that in. I just like a nice little, if I just want a little bit of highlighter right on the cheekbones. Now, the thing about highlighter, keep in mind, you guys, is you put highlighter where you want the light to look. And the way I learned to highlight is if you look at photographs in magazines, for example, and you study that photograph, and don't just look at it at face value, but study it and see where does it look like the light is shining. That's the exact same places that you're gonna wanna put highlighter on your face. Typically it's the cheekbones, and if you don't have cheekbones, this helps you get a little bit of a highlight cheekbone, again, sparingly. You also may want to think about putting some highlight just above the eyebrow, but again, a nice highlighter, not real chunky, glittery, sparkly, that's all out. And then the other place that I really think I put more highlighter nowadays as I get a little bit older is right in the corner of my eyes to help give that little bit of a awake look. Now, don't put highlighter on top of your concealer, because that is going to bring attention and light to the wrinkle area under your eye. But I will take highlighter in some of these hollowed out temple areas, because that's where we thin as we get older and we start to lose collagen. And so I'll highlight just a little bit in that and sweep up so that it brings the eye and blends your highlighter that you just put here up. Now, the other thing in terms of highlighter on your cheekbones, we go back to this type of a demonstration. I don't put highlighter any closer to the inside of my face than about where my pupil is, and maybe just a little bit more on the inside. But you definitely don't want to bring your highlighter way in, because nobody walks around with light shining right underneath their eyes. And again, that draws the light to that eye area, which is the most aged area on our face as we begin the aging process. All right, so those are the two different applications. You can also use your fingers, which I do a lot in a pinch in the morning. If you want to throw in some highlighter, I will just grab it with my fingers. A couple of highlighters that I would recommend is, one is this Hourglass one. This is, again, sort of a cult favorite. This is the ambient lighting, and it's a nice finely milled powder. And you can see it's not glittery, it's not sparkly, it's just a nice subtle highlight that you know is there, and you know people are looking at that area of your face, but you're not really sure why. So this one you can get at Ulta typically, or Sephora. Nordstrom's, I think, carries it. So, and it comes in 3 different shades, and they also have a palette that has all 3 shades, and oftentimes I'll just take all 3 and mix them together. I do like the smaller one because it's good for travel size and just throw in your purse. If you're out and about for an evening, or the lighting's starting to get darker throughout the dinner into a nightclub setting, you just really easily take it on your finger, get a little bit off, and tap, 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 and it just makes a big difference where you want your light to be. And some people will put it on the edge of their nose if they're doing photography. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it probably looks nice on some people. I just don't want light on my nose. The next highlighter that I have used and I like this one because it's in a full palette, is this Charlotte Tilbury palette. And I've highlighted this one before in my travel kit. And this is the Instant Look of Love, the lighter palette. And what I like about this palette is it has all of the different powders that you will need for any of your makeup applications. So it has the highlighter here, it has the bronze here if you're a lighter skin. They do have a darker palette. I don't know that it's really appropriate for or would look good on darker skin, but it's a good medium range. And then you've got right here, you've got a little bit of another eyeshadow palette. You could use that as a highlighter if you have a little darker skin. This is a nice color eyeshadow. They're all really creamy and mixed. This is a nice bronzer, and then you've got a little bit of a blush here. And what I love is on the back, it tells you what each of these are. You can kind of see the names on them. So that if you're new to makeup and you're like, I don't really know how to apply all this stuff, then this will tell you. It has everything from your eyeshadow, your highlighter, your bronzer, and your blush. Now we're gonna move up in price point, and this is yes, this is another splurge item. This is this Charlotte Tilbury is $75, by the way. But again, it's 6 products, right? 6 products. So something to consider there. And then the Hourglass is $24 if you're looking for that price. The next one is, let's save that big splurge. The next one I've talked about before is this Highbrow Glow. This one is the pencil, it's $22. Now, if you do order this, make sure if you go buy it, there's a Highbrow Glow, which this one is, and then there is a Highbrow. The Highbrow is matte, and it will not do the same thing that this Glow does. This Glow is nice because it is a highlight, and what I love about it is you can absolutely get in the corner of your eyes, as I've talked about before. You can highlight just under your brow. The size of it just makes it really nice. It's easy to slip into any purse to go out for the evening. It goes easily for traveling. You can highlight your lips with it if you just want to give a little bit of a look to your lips, make them look a little bigger. You can highlight that. And then if you do want to use it for your cheekbones, you can easily just either tap it there and then blend it in, softly pat it, or you can just put it on your hand like we did, press it on each finger, and then just lightly press so that you have more of a natural highlight. And that works really well. This is definitely a go-to that I would highly recommend. So now let's jump up to the splurge. This is a $70 Chanel highlight, and this is a limited edition. I got it at Nordstrom. It's still available. This is a really beautiful color. It's called Metal Peach, and it's gorgeous. It's finely milled. It doesn't have really sparkles in it at all, and it's just a nice consistency, really pretty. Again, I put it in this video because it's definitely a splurge if you like Chanel products or you like the Chanel brand of cosmetics. They are high-end, very good quality. And again, if it's a special occasion and you can afford it and you want a Chanel highlighter, then I say go for it. Does it make your face look any much better than the Hourglass? I'll leave that up for you to decide, and we'll just let's just use them both, and that way you can make that decision and decide what you want to do. So there is the Chanel, and here is the Hourglass. Okay, both are really pretty. So Chanel, $70, Hourglass, $24. So that's up to you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this review and this demonstration of concealer and highlight and the how to use them. It is summertime. It's a good time to just go out and experiment with highlighters. If you're just using a BB cream or a CC cream or even a tinted moisturizer, putting on some highlight, little bit of blush, you're good to go and off to the summer events that you have planned for yourself. So if you like this video, please consider subscribing and definitely give it a thumbs up, but also leave me a comment on how you use highlighter. If you put it in a place that we haven't talked about that we can share with others on this channel, that would be fantastic. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a good rest of your day and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.